you trust Ferguson Roof Systems to replace your roof, we go the extra mile to protect your home and property. On every job, we deploy durable netting to protect your home's exterior and landscaping. It's just one more reason why you should call Ferguson Roof Systems today.
All right. Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle. It is 9:39. So, looked over some of the latest data. I got a little more excited than the last couple of days for that four-letter word. And I thought, all right, I really wasn't going to do a live tonight unless the model said snow and a decent amount and enough to convince me to get excited. So I looked at the data. And yes, it did. So here we are. All right, we're going to talk about the snow in the forecast coming up for tomorrow. Also with the rain that we're still getting out there right now. So thanks for joining me. Please like and share this video as we speak. Tell your friends and family about AT's weather. So that way they can get the scoop with all the information that we have at your disposal. Let's take a look. By the way, on Facebook, if you're having trouble getting notified when I do go live, or maybe you're late to the party sometimes, you hit this little link I post in there. You can get notified through me, through your instant messenger on Facebook. So I will send you a direct message and go, hey, I'm live, so don't miss it. So there you go. All right. Also, thanks for you guys joining me on YouTube. Checking in the house. I see Jim out there from Mustang. He's got 0.29 inches of rain so far. Hey, you and me are pretty close. Me and Okie, though, she's got a soggy Cotton County checking in. She's not complaining. Paul from McIntosh County is in. Bet you guys have had some good rain, and you got a lot more to come. So if you guys haven't had enough rain yet, hang on. We still got more, and I need more rain, honestly, because I had still a lot of cracks in my lawn from the summer and fall that needed to fill in. Made my fence posts, do one of these wobbles, So I need the ground to swell back up and solidify those guys. So that's what I got going on in my backyard. Speaking of my backyard, we've got some clouds out there still. I'm at 40 degrees. I got a north-northeast breeze, and my Tempest weather gauge is in the bottom right. You might not be able to make that out. It says 0.30. So if you look up on here as well, just above the banner at the bottom, 0.3 of an inch of rain so far is what I've had in my backyard. So you can get your Tempest weather station as well. It looks just like the little picture you see there on over my shoulder. You can get it at aarontuttle.com. You can also click this little QR code anytime you're watching it. Zap it with your phone, and it'll take you right to it. You can use that QR promo code to get you a discount. All right, so let's see. Me and my 20-year-old Koraz, that's always a fun word to say. Rain gauge finally cracked. I need a new one. You better get with it. Ain't no excuse for that. Come on, this is Oklahoma. You got to be prepared. All right, so let me show you what's going on out there currently. We do have a little bit of rainfall still ongoing across the state. Temperatures actually are still into the 30s and 40s. So the coldest temperatures, believe it or not, are right here in central Oklahoma. So we're 39 degrees across pretty much all of the metro area down toward Chickasha. Still got some of this light rainfall moving through in the south side of town from Tuttle to Norman, from Chickasha up north and east toward Sparks and Prague. This continues around the Kearney, Stroud, Bristow area, right up the turnpike into Tulsa. And that continues on east from there. And it does also continue there into southeastern Oklahoma as well, down toward Chakotah, Eufaula. And there's some heavier rains from McAllister southward toward Kiowa, Antlers, all the way down to Texas. So still a lot more rain out there to go for tonight and even for tomorrow. We're going to show you the detailed time of arrival and all that stuff here in the latest data. Now out there currently, like we mentioned, 30s and 40s across the state. And look at the rainfall amounts so far. Pretty decent. Where you see that green stretch, that is 1+ inches of rain. So we've had some pretty good amounts here. Let's see. Facebook says activate a stars party, 3 minutes, 28 seconds. I will tell you this. When I logged in, I'm almost at 1 million stars. You guys are awesome on Facebook. You've almost got me to 1 million. That's a pretty good milestone. It took, I think maybe a year. I've been thinking maybe it was since last spring. I can't really recall when it started, but we've almost got 1 million. Only got, I think, a few hundred more to go, or a couple thousand or something. It's not very much. We might get it tonight. But anyway, so here's a look at the rainfall amounts. And always thank you, by the way, when you guys do send me stars. So I see you, Vanessa, Carrie, and Joseph. So thank you very much. If you do look here, it does trail off So northwest Oklahoma, not expecting a whole lot from this storm system. And even tomorrow, even though you might get a little bit up here, it won't be, buckets like it was from Tulsa County on the east side of Oklahoma City and the south side down toward Norman. We did get temperatures. We did get rainfall amounts up to around an inch, which is much needed. But here on the northwest side of the metro, like I said, about a third of an inch versus the south and east side of Oklahoma City, we got almost 3/4. So kind of the way it goes. I-44 was a dividing line that we talked about in the data. All right, well, let's go on to the next thing we'll talk about. Some of you guys messaged me today and said, hey, I'm getting some sleet out there. And I'm going, well, it's not sleet, but I can see why you'd think that. It's teeny tiny, itty bitty baby hail. And you're going, what? All right, so let's take a look at the reason why. All right, this is the profile for the atmosphere with the balloon sounding from Norman this morning. Now, keep in mind, you see this little line right here? This is the freezing line, okay? So everything from around 10,000 feet down is to the right of this line. That means it's above freezing. Now, once you get above 10,000 feet in this area, it's below freezing, but that's typical. The atmosphere usually is below freezing at that level. But we also have, in this particular case, is we have some unstable CAPE, right here, 129. In other words, we have a little bit of instability. We see this little dashed line right here go along the red line. So we have just instability, a little thunder out there, a few strikes of lightning, and yes, just barely, but yes, a little bit of hail to form in that environment. Now, how is that different? And I can show you that was this morning, and this is this evening when these two lines kind of came together. So in other words, during the entire day, it still stayed above freezing at the lowest levels. And I want to show you the reason why. Here's a look at the precipitation profile to develop sleet, not hail, but sleet. In this particular case, we have to get the lowest levels here of the atmosphere. We have to be left of this freezing line. This is 0 degrees Celsius, and we weren't. I just showed you on the sounding. We were to the right of it over here. So that means that we could not have generated sleet. It's just not possible. But what you can get is some hail that falls through that warm layer, and that's what we had out there today. All right, so let's take a look at the upper levels of the atmosphere. Here's the jet stream pattern. It's going to show our storm system out here across El Paso. As we go through tonight into tomorrow, watch the position of this upper level low. See how it zips through the Texas Panhandle. And then by Wednesday evening, it zips right over central Oklahoma. Now, this is important because the track of the upper low on the northwest side is usually where you find your best lift for generating snowfall. Now, we do have another system that comes in behind it. This little guy right here doesn't quite get its act together for an upper level low position. But by Thursday evening to Friday morning, it does swing through the state, and there's a lot of energy associated with this. That should squeeze out at least a little bit of light snow. Again, I favored the northeastern quadrant of the state on Sunday's blog, and I'm still sticking with that, and we'll show you that here momentarily. If you do look at timing of when the heaviest precipitation is going to occur, you can look at the brighter colors, all right? So we want the reds and the purples, and if we look here for, of course, currently, you can see how it's over the southern areas and eastern areas of Oklahoma, like I showed you on radar. So let's go overnight tonight. You can see it's still there, midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning to lunch, to breakfast time, to lunchtime, to breakfast. Still going heavy, southeast Oklahoma, stretching down to Dallas, and there's a little spot here coming into western Oklahoma and southern Oklahoma. Then by mid-morning, some heavy stuff here in Oklahoma City. I mean, so we should be getting some heavy rain. Yes, could be some more thunder associated with that. Also out in Arkansas. By midday, watch what happens. The big heavy stuff moves east into Arkansas, Missouri, but look what happens on the back end. See this right here? This is heavy lift associated with the track of the upper level low, which is going to generate the snow that moves through. The other thing I want to show you is, and I'm going to show you a different map for this as well, this is the 700 millibar layer. But what we're concerned with, or what we're interested in, is this concentric circle, all right? This right here, this closed off value. This is the low at 700 millibars, so it's a little bit lower than the one at 500. Now, the reason for this is when you want to track your heaviest snow, it happens along the 700 millibar low. And look where that's coming, right over the southwest corner of the metro, through Canadian County and Oklahoma County, then zipping up north and east from there. If I go with time, you can see how it zips from here to here. So it takes that perfect track right over Oklahoma City Metro, and yes, it does clip the Tulsa area as well, but most of its influence is just to your north. But that's interesting, right? Okay, and that's why I got a little bit more excited, because I saw the high-resolution data of this, and I went, all right, now we're talking a perfect track. So let's take a look at it here at the wind field. This is kind of closed off for you. So here is the circular area of the upper level low, and right in the middle of it, smack dab in the middle, is Canadian County. See how these winds kind of go in a counterclockwise fashion. So that's perfect. All right. Now, if we were just a little colder, I'd be far more excited. I'd be jumping up and down. I'd be going, woohoo, we're going to get buried. We're going to have inches and inches of snow. That's what I would have done. But we're a little warm. I'll show you the temperatures there in a minute. All right, let's go on through time. We got the rainfall tonight. So there's midnight. 1 o'clock in the morning, we'll step you through this. You see that snow on the panhandle, by the way, in the blue shading. As we head to 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, there's that snow moving into the to the Red River, down around Wichita Falls and Sherman and Dallas, and then east from there. And then there's the batch of rainfall that moves into from southern Oklahoma into central Oklahoma during our drive time. So it'll be wet for your commute tomorrow, both here in Oklahoma City and even in Tulsa. 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, there's that heavier rainfall moving through. Like I said, might get a little bit of thunder out of that. There's that yellow indicating some stronger intensities. And that will move on into Tulsa during the lunchtime hour as well. Then we focus in the afternoon. Look what happens out west. The models are trying to trend this rain into blue, which means a mixture of rain and snow developing in the late afternoon hours out there in western Oklahoma. So usually some big flakes out there is when that happens. Then look what happens at 5 o'clock. Moves into central Oklahoma, the metro area to the west. Yeah, buddy. So we got some rain and snow mixture coming in. Here's 6 o'clock where the model's trying to change over to all snow here in Oklahoma City. And heavy snow. I mean, stupid heavy snow at 7 o'clock. Here across Canadian, Oklahoma County, into southern Logan, up to around the Enid area. All that blue means that the model's convinced it's going to top down cooling from the upper level low. And that is going to bring us some good heavy snow. Big flakes, big white, huge snowflakes, wet. And that continues up north into Ponca City and Bartlesville. So there's 10 o'clock. Starting to wrap up, there's 11 o'clock. Tulsa getting in on the action right there. So you guys getting some snow around your midnight hour. Look how it struggles, though. It tries to flip it back to rain. So you might not get the pure, snow the whole time. You might get a mixture of rain and snow. But regardless, that moves on off. And then the next wave, here is Thursday afternoon. Some light showers moving through. Nothing heavy at this point in time. There's that snow across Kansas and does work its way Thursday evening across northern Oklahoma. Does include the Enid area. Maybe a little bit of flurry activity in Woodward, Ponca City, Stillwater, even Oklahoma City Thursday evening. Otherwise, it's kind of in a northeastern quadrant overnight into early Friday morning. So Tulsa getting a nice little dusting of snow with that deal. And that thing wraps up by probably mid-Friday morning. Now, this is a 1-2 system. As in a 1-2 punch, we get the rain and we get the snow. So here's a look at rainfall totals across the area. And we're still looking up to anywhere from a half inch to maybe as much as an inch of additional rainfall here in central Oklahoma. And that extends up toward the Tulsa area. Again, 1 inch or more. Down toward I-35 is good there too. Of course, it trails off pretty quickly west of those boundaries. But then in southeastern, eastern Oklahoma, still anywhere from 2 to maybe 3 inches in addition to what you already have. Now, this model is going nuts. It's got some stretching down here of 4 to 5 inches of rainfall. Believe it or not, you might get a little bit of flash flooding with that situation if that were to be the case. So that would obviously be something interesting to watch for. Now, if you do live in the Arkansas area, you're also getting some heavy rain, especially in the northwest side of the state. Little Rock about 1.5 inches, but up toward Russellville, Mountain Home, Rogers, anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of the wet stuff. So that's pretty good. We needed some rain up there as well. And then if you guys are watching me from Missouri, you're also in on the action. Widespread, 1 to 2 inches. Might be some pockets of rainfall higher than that. And then finally, I'll check in with you guys on Kansas here. Only the southeastern quadrant of the state, from Wichita to Topeka, is going to get anything measurable when it comes to rainfall. And then finally, we'll go down to North Texas here real quick. You can see Dallas-Fort Worth, get a nice round of 2 to 3 inches, maybe even higher, for this whole event before all is said and done. And even down in Austin, where they are still having power outages from the ice storm last week, believe it or not. There are some problems down there where apparently the officials didn't want help from the line crews, outside sources, to kind of help restore power. And so now they're hurting, and there were a lot of people that are very upset because there's still thousands and thousands of people that didn't have power, even up to this morning, the last update I'd seen. Okay, so let's go with the snowfall amounts. Look at this. This is why it's crazy. That's why I get excited. So the NAM model is with the dynamics, which has a better look at the dynamics aloft that can mix down. It's giving us a burst of snow anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of snow, 5 inches of snow, right here over the heart of Oklahoma City. I mean, could you ask for anything more? That's crazy. So 5 inches of snow, up to 5 inches of snow here, and then there's up another 5 inches of snow, maybe even 6 around western Bartlesville and Osage County. But look how small these little areas are. This is a very micro burst of snow, and at the track of that upper level 700 millibar low. But there's a caveat to this. There's always something, right? There's always a catch. There's a catch. So before you get too excited, which I am excited about that, by the way, but before you get too excited, let me show you what temperatures look like during the course of this event. So, by the way, during the day, the temperature's going to be nice and warm. So I'll start you off, we'll say warm, relative. In the morning hours, we're into the 30s and low 40s across the state. And then by the day, we're still into the 40s. So it's a cool day, chilly day, but not a freezing day. In other words, roads are fine, bridges are fine, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you look into the evening at 6 o'clock, look what happens. See this green area expand? That's that precipitation coming down and cooling temperatures into the lower 30s. So it's that snow at 36 degrees action, snow at 35, snow at 34, and that's about as cool as we get. Now, you know what happened the last time we had snow between 33 and 34 degrees, or even 35. It came down, and boy, was it nice. It was pretty. Everybody got excited. I got excited, and it was melting about as fast as it was falling. And we had several inches, multiple inches of snow fall from the sky, and we had multiple inches of snow melt on the ground. I was so angry. But, it's one of those deals. It is what it is. But regardless, obviously it's cold as we head into Thursday morning, still 30s. And then by the afternoon on Thursday, we're back into the 40s. And then, like I mentioned, we have a few little flurries and flakes of snow that come in Thursday night. So there's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. We're dipping back into the 30s again with that secondary batch of snow for northeast Oklahoma. At this point in time, it might actually stick a little bit better because your temperatures should be a couple of degrees colder. So you guys that are lucky enough to get this second round, stretching up from Stillwater, Ponca City, Bartlesville, Tulsa, you might get a little bit better accumulating snow with that one versus the first round. In other words, it won't melt so much. Still grassy areas. I guess bridges and overpasses as long as you're down below freezing. Otherwise, again, this is a marginal event for travel and trouble issues. It's more of an event for prettiness and excitement. The European model did have a lot of its ensemble members go with snow here in Oklahoma City, up to about a half inch. So at least it saw it. That's a global model, so that's a pretty good indication. And the European was actually pretty good at hinting at this for a while, and the NAM also did the same. And usually when those two are locked in, they both kind of have a similar outcome. It's usually going to happen, just so you know. Temperatures. Well, obviously chilly for the next few days here. And then we're going to get into the weekend period where we do get into the 50s and overnight lows get out of the 20s and 30s for at least a little bit. And they'll cool back down to next week on the 16th. Now, I must say, this is wild card territory. We should have a nice little breach of Arctic air around the 16th. Maybe some monkey business in the precipitation output. And then we'll have another one the following week of February. So we are in that active track, and I talked about that last night, just kind of show you. All right, so let me show you this. We're going to turn, this is just me for fun, we're going to turn the radar off, and I have not loaded this up before, but let me see if this will work. Let me see if it's even on here as an option for me. Is it on here? Come on, show me something. All right, it's close. It's not the real product I wanted, but I'm at least curious to see what this product does show. And I might have to go back. Let's see, 48 hours before it'll melt by then. And this is a depth product. So let me go to, let's go like 1 in the morning. Let's see if that does anything different. All right. I'm just curious what this little product would show since I can zoom in, right? And it might be different from the one I showed in the bigger map. Yeah, because this is like a snow depth. In other words, how much is on the ground at this particular time, not how much has fallen, but just whatever's melted and then what's still remaining currently. And it's just an estimate, right? So it can be way off, but at least it's better than, not estimating. And it still says like an inch to 1.5 inches here across the metro at the near the midnight hour. I'm going to go back a couple hours prior to, see if anything has changed. No, it's about the same. Do I have any other data on here for this? Let me see. No, that's it. Okay, that's fine. I was hoping for a little more excitement there. Let me see what this one does. Does this do anything? I normally don't use this radar for this type of stuff, but I was kind of curious to see if anything showed up. Let's see, probability. It's not showing nothing. All right, that's okay. All right, that's good. I would just kind of glance to see. Okay, so while we do that, I'm about tired of the pretty snow only. LaDonna, what do you want to get buried? Oh, I got to show you. Oh, you guys want a treat? I'm going to show you something. You got to be careful what you wish for, right? I'm going to show you something. Hang on to that thought. You're going to like this. You're going to love this. Let me go to Stefan. Let me see if his pictures are working. Okay. Stefan. Here we go. All right. This is my friend Stefan. Now, he lives in Canada, up in the Northeast, just across the U.S. border. And this is the snow. He has, I think he said 4 feet piles of snow to deal with. And that's his house up there. He's a snow lover. He goes nuts for snow. And so he's always checking in with me, showing me everything he's got. I mean, he's got some crazy stuff. I mean, I'm so super jealous. Let me see if I can get another one up here. If I can go back far enough in his messages. Let's see. No, there was one. It was a trail. Let me see here. I told him, I said, man, how much weight is on your house there? I guess the rest of them are videos. So, and I can't play those anymore. They expired. But yeah, so that was a pretty good little snow picture here. And I was just like, man, that right there is all I need to see. I was like, could you imagine? he got all that, most of that in 1 week. I was like, man, that is so crazy. So you're watching tonight, Stefan, and that picture's for you. Thanks for sending it. Okay, so let me think here. I'm going to show you one other thing. And I guess I can just show you what I'm doing here. We're going to go get in the geeky meteorology here for this NAM model that I like. And I'm just curious. I'll show Tulsa and I'll show Oklahoma City. And we're going to see the kind of lift. Oh, did I just do the wrong thing? Shoot, Control Z. Oh, shoot, that didn't work. Undo. There ain't no undo on this thing. All right, let's start over. All right, try this again. That's the one I wanted. All right, we'll do that one. I wonder if I should do the SREF. I think I will. Oh, I should probably do the wrap too. I'll get all these. And we'll see what some of this vertical data looks like. Gino. I don't know why there's so many different predictions either. You got me. I guess that's a good thing, right? Because if it was all the same prediction, then there would be no reason to watch anybody else, right? You could just pick one person and everybody else say the exact same thing, and then the rest of you wouldn't have a job because there'd be no need. It'd be that easy. All right, let's go to the NAM here, Oklahoma City. Let's see. Yep, that's the time. Okay, so let's get into this. Curious. I haven't seen this yet, so that's why. Okay. You see these little columns? That represents precipitation amounts that accumulate. And I'm looking at Oklahoma City. So I'm going to turn this thing back off again. And the highlight I want to show you is, you see this red? This is what we call omega, or lift in the atmosphere. This right here, in between this little pink line, is the snow growth layer. All right, we're looking at, here's Wednesday lunch, and this time goes from right to left. And I really hate that, by the way, because it messes up your brain, right? But anyway, so here's like 6 o'clock, and then here's like midnight. So, and that's noon. All right, so at 6 o'clock, you can see this lift overlying the snow growth layer of the atmosphere around 15,000 feet. Also juxtaposed with some good moisture. And this thing's just cranking out the snow as a result. I mean, stupid snow to beat the band. If we were at least a couple degrees colder, I'm telling you, man, we would be buried. It would be so exciting. Let me see if it gives me a QPF. Yeah. All right, so the QPF on this is about 6/10. So if we just had just a standard 10-to-1 ratio, that'd be 6 inches of snow. I mean, that's what we're talking about. That's what's on the table. 6 inches of snow is what that would be like. I mean, that's impressive. So let's go over here to the snow totals. And let me put the snow on here. The snow ratio. It has a snow ratio of 12. Oh, because I picked it. Let me go. There's 10. Let me just do the max temp. What is it going to do? 10-to-1. Okay, so it's going to go standard 10-to-1 based off the temperature profile. Yeah, some of the other elements that we can use might stretch that up to a higher value, that 15-to-1. That usually means a better conversion of more snow from the liquid that's in the atmosphere. But I'll just go with the max temp profile, do the melting and stuff. But that's fine. 10-to-1 doesn't really matter to me because it's like this, a lot of it's going to kind of melt. But the point being is that the snowfall amounts with that are pretty significant. So that's really good. I'm really excited about that. So it's got snow accumulation here, for example, of about 5 inches. So 5 inches of snow. But again, keep in mind, just like the last time, if we have temperatures that are in the mid-30s, what a waste. And that's the second time that's happened. All right, Tulsa, same idea. Let's go with you. There's your second burst over here on Thursday night, Friday. Just a little dusting there. This particular model just doesn't quite hit you very hard. It only gives you about 1 inch of snow. Totally lame. But it is what it is. And it could be wrong in placement, right? But it doesn't have nearly the dynamics aloft that looks as good. So I think you're just on the southern fringe of what would be a lot better. In other words, it kind of just passes just to your northwest. Let me think. Oh, the wrap. I want to do the wrap. Let me see what it's doing. All right, it's cut off on the time frame for the snow, but I see the lift and the moisture, so that's good. All right, let me go to the SREF, and let's see what this thing does. All right, see if any of these things produce snow. There's one. Oh, there's a couple in there. See these little gray lines here. It goes up to about 4 inches of snow. It's not as excited. This is totally a NAM thing, which is scary. It's a dynamic model, though, for thermodynamics and forcing, whereas this other one isn't. So the outcome is going to be based off of how good the NAM is at that kind of stuff. So fingers crossed that I'm putting all my eggs in the right basket. Because if I'm not, I ain't going to work out too well for me. But I think it'll be good. I think we're solid. So there you go. All right, let me look at 10 o'clock. Let me look at a couple of questions, and I want to get on out. Okay, let's see. Paul's Valley's in the house. Good deal. You guys might be a little bit too far south for that kind of blue stuff on the radar, white stuff from the sky. Informal greeting. I really wish I'd done a meteorology degree. One of these online schools need to offer one. I would do it just for fun. Okay, Jenny, I see what you did there, and don't listen to anything Mrs. Tuttle says. So I don't know if you were talking to her. I think last night somebody was, and she was just bragging about something. I'm just gonna leave it at that. All right, let me see what else we got on. Courtney, my Tempest, 1 inch of rain in Cushing. All right. What? I'm hearing you over there. Quiet down over there. Let's see, Ringling. Oh, you guys starting to call out town names. Oh boy. So the if you're late, so Sally's like, what are the time frame that we're talking about? So yeah, the problem. Okay, so I'm reading a bunch of comments at once, and my brain's not separating them all because there's multiple questions at me. So above, Gino wants to know above average temperatures into March and April? No. So it looks like winter's going to be one of those things that hang on there. And we're going to have multiple intrusions that'll delay our spring weather season, which usually starts in mid-March and then goes to mid-June. So we may not be on like a 2-month squeeze, which is fine by me. But if we have an El Nino that kicks in pretty strong, which is what's supposed to happen, we may squeeze out a pretty good round of severe weather in a 2-month period versus our standard 3-month, even though we get a late start. So right now, that's my prognostication long term, which I can give you. I can tell you anything you want to hear, but a lot of it's grain of salt. Long range forecasting is very difficult to get right, even today. Kerry, by the way, thank you for the stars. Brandon, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the stars, and Robert, you as well. Okay, so all right. So the question is, let's do a little recap, and I'll just show you the one map and summarize it so that way you guys can see it. We'll do 2. So we're getting more rain tonight through tomorrow. So that hasn't changed. And so the heaviest rain will be across the eastern half of the state. I-35 is a corridor of the dividing line. It trails off pretty quickly west of that boundary. Oklahoma City still looks like about a half inch of rainfall, and then maybe even another half inch of what would be considered snow, because this measurement is a combination of both. And that's why it's a little skewed higher than surrounding areas, because it bullseyes us. Boy, that did not work out well at all. I'm not sure I put that right in a sentence. Anyway, up to Tulsa, some heavy rain, and east from there in Muskogee. All right, now on the snow side of things, again, because the NAM has a track, which I can post that here for you, and the 700 millibar track, it does like this. All right, so that's a 700 millibar track of the low. If you want snow, you want to be right underneath that 700 millibar low. And so it looks like it's going to go right over the Oklahoma City metro area. At the same time in the evening, it just cranks out the instability and the lift in the atmosphere. So it dumps anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of snow on top of us. And then that another dumpage of snow here northwest of Tulsa. Remember when I showed you the vertical profile for the forecast for Oklahoma City and then Tulsa? Notice how Tulsa, remember I said hardly had anything on it? You can see here, because the low just kind of grazed you, it's up to your north and west. So that's why you didn't get very much. Now, of course, if the track was just a little off and it jogged just to the south and say just rode right up the turnpike, well, there you go. You're right back in the action. But that is a very hard thing to forecast 24 hours out. That little bit of a tiny jog of 20 to 30 miles. You're probably not going to get able to pick that up. But let's just assume that this pattern holds and it doesn't deviate at all. This would be kind of a similar outcome. And the model, will struggle if we're to put the exactly high pockets. So the other take home is, again, if you don't see yourself on this in the area of this map, you at least know what big towns you live next to. And if you don't see the output of snow, then you're not getting any. You're just getting the rain. But the other thing is, and I'll outline it for you here. So again, you would have to live in this corridor from basically Altus to right around Lawton, to the south end of the Oklahoma City metro area to Shawnee, up to Okmulgee basically, Tulsa, and then kind of east here a little bit. And the same thing out in western Oklahoma. Now, some of the model did have at least some flurries for you guys up around northwest Oklahoma, but nothing measurable. But otherwise, Enid's on the northern fringe of that, Ponca City. So, Geary, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of your zone for snow. If you live in this zone, you will see at least some big white flakes and maybe even briefly measurable snow in the grass and stuff. But it will melt so fast. So it will happen late afternoon through the overnight period is for this. So it's basically starts from west, ends at east, and it goes from the late afternoon hours out here in the western, say, third of the state, moves into Oklahoma City metro area between the 5 and 6 o'clock hour, and it snows through several hours in the evening. Then that moves up north and east for the rest of northeast Oklahoma overnight into early tomorrow morning. And it's dumping quite a bit of snow. Since it is dark, that will help to not melt it all so fast. Temperature should be right around 34 degrees right now in the latest data. Again, that's 2 degrees too warm for it to stick for very long, so it should melt because ground temperature is still pretty warm. So it should be similar, kind of an outcome we had, was it 3 weeks ago? I've lost track of how far ago that was. Where we just had a lot of snow coming down, big flakes, and it just didn't really accumulate to a whole lot because the ground temps are too warm and the air temps are too warm. But that's the way it looks. So if you do get any measurable stuff, you got to get it while most of us are sleeping or stay up late. Our kids are probably going to bed, by 9, so they get the early couple hours of going, ooh, wow, staying up late to 9, and then they got to go to bed, and they wake up in the morning, it's all gone, they're disappointed, it's back to school. I don't expect any school closures with this, but out and about overnight, bridges and overpasses might have some slushy stuff on them, so be careful of that. But anyway, so that's your big picture. So Janet, hope that answered your question. So I wouldn't worry too much about the whole road situation. Now, for whatever reason, if it came down just crazy heavy for an hour or two, and it happened to accumulate on the roads faster than it could melt, then you do have some, that brief window of time, wrong place, wrong time, where you might have some traction issues just briefly. But I don't see it. I think it's going to melt too fast. So that would be an outlier based off of what we're getting. But should be nice. Should be pretty. But Gino, thank you for the stars, and you're welcome. So we'll get some more cold air coming down here. The pattern is pretty favorable for occasional. Whitney, man, why are you so late to the party? You gotta click that link I provided you in the deal. Here, I'm gonna do it again. Don't you miss this. You ready? I'm pressing the enter button. It's gonna go through the comments section. Click on that link, and that way you don't miss any broadcast. You don't have no excuse, because I will tell you when I go live, and that way you can click on. Karen, I don't know about snow ice cream. I'll tell you what you could do. You could put a big cooler out there, open it up and let it catch it and fall in the cooler, and then put some ice in the cooler at the bottom, and that way you might actually get to keep it. It might actually hold long enough. Oh, you're putting the kids to bed. I hear you. Sorry to hear that. That's okay. You got the replay. So, but anyway, so that's it. I gotta get out of here. We finished this forecast about 20 minutes ago. I think really it wasn't that long. It was a short one. So if you want to start it back over, first few minutes I tell you why we got hail today and it wasn't sleet. Showed you the difference, and then we zipped right into the forecast for the timing of the rainfall and some of the snow. And that's about it. All right, so we'll see what happens late tomorrow afternoon and evening, and hopefully it snows. If it's not, then I got some apologizing to do. I got some crow to eat. All right, guys, have a great night. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow.